Greetings. Today we're going to look at notes. The notes are employed in several places throughout BetterPlan. They always look the same and they behave the same. We will start with folder cover notes. Now this is not an option that we will use too often, but is at times very useful. If you consider a normal brown manila folder, very often we make some notes on the outside cover or the inside front cover, some notes that relate to the subject as a whole rather than one particular component part that might be contained in that folder. I happen to have my research folder selected here, and I will go to my folder cover notes and I will enter a new one here. Now these are date and time stamped, as are all notes that I entered in the system, and I will put a note here, best researchers, says Fred, and I'll put a note in here, it is George and Jane and Peter. So I write this away, and this is essentially a note that is on the outside of the folder. The next note that you will be familiar with by now is the one where we enter an item note at the bottom here. This one, the item that is selected at the moment, is Branding Specialist Service Creation. If I go and add a note to this one over here, then whatever it is, we'll just keep it easy, I'll put in a test note, and I will put a note in here. One of the first functions that I've got in here beyond done simply writes away the entry. If I select CC done, it writes away this entry, but it also will make a copy of that in my professional journal. If I step across to my journal, there's the note that I've just entered. The reason for using CC done and writing items to your personal journal, or your professional journal rather, is that many entries that you might have in your folders you will delete after a couple of weeks or a month or whatever the time frame is, and you will delete it complete with notes. Any note that you have written via CC done to your professional journal will stay there, and therefore you can find your way back to that particular note if such a need might arise. The next place where we use the note format is in fact in the journal, where we can go and enter a new note, and it works exactly the same as all the other notes. The next one is in ideas. Now we haven't handled ideas at all yet, but ideas, as you can see, it's got the same sort of layout and structure as your professional and personal journals. The big difference is that where your journal is always linked to a particular date, these entries are not. It is simply as many notes as you want to put in here, ideas that you're after, you can put in, and whatever notes you want to make in the bottom of the page here, you can enter. It has absolutely no impact on anything else and stays put exactly where it is. So the notes, wherever they are pretty much the same. Even if you go to your contacts and you enter a note, that note has still got exactly the same form and structure as any other note in the system. In terms of reading notes, we have been through these controls down here with summary or to hide and so on. But there's a couple of interesting bits that you can do within a note that we haven't yet looked at, and we'll proceed to do so now. Let us go to our prospects folder over here, and you will see I've got, no I haven't. I would like to set up some business lunch or something, so I will, or maybe invite people to come for a presentation. So I will enter a new item, and if this thing will deign to come back to me, I will do that now, and I will say invite to a presentation, and in this one I don't even have a date, so never mind, I'll just say that is done and put it in here. So there I have the entry. Now next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enter a note here, and I'm going to say, well, I've sent an email out to a couple of people. I'll say sent email to selected few. I can put in whatever notes and things I want in here, and I'm making this note entry directly to my folder item. But I would also like to make a note who exactly I sent this email to. please have some lunch with us, and so forth, whatever this said. And I'm going to use this funny little thing here called prompt for another, and I will say done. The screen will change, the record is written away, and it comes back with a slightly different format. Now you will see at the top it says better link, and we'll handle better link separately, but in essence this is what happens. We've entered this note, we've written it away, and now we say we want to put it somewhere else as well, and we say, where do you want to put that? I say I want to put that in contacts. The minute I select contacts, all my contacts display. If I go and expand the list over here, it's simply a bigger list of the same thing. I say, well, I sent it to that one, that one, that one, and that one, and I say done. I've now selected those, and I say done. It will come back and ask me whether I have done this intentionally. It says there's no URL attached. The reason for this message is purely a caution. If you can imagine that I had a document that I wanted to attach to this, to say, well, I have sent this document to these 4 people. If I forget to attach it, and the system didn't ask me this question, then I would have to go to each one of those entries that's automatically generated from here and manually add that document in via the URL. So this is just a cautionary message to say, do you mean to do this? And I say, yes, that's exactly what I want to do. If I go and look at my contacts now, you will see that suddenly that's one of those that I sent the message to, sent an email, and there we go. So once I have entered the note, as I was entering it, I said prompt for another. The prompt for another made the system come back to me and say, alrighty, where else would you like to attach this particular note? In this instance, I attached the same note to 4 other entries in another folder, and one can repeat that process. If you wanted to attach it to 3 other items in yet another folder, you simply leave the prompt for another on, and the same cycle repeats. I hope that clarifies more than it confuses. Have a lovely day and good day.